special Stratford School District meeting to order at 9:03 a.m. Our first order of business is to choose a moderator pro tem because the moderator position is vacant. I will now accept motions to nominate for the moderator pro tem position. Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor signify by raising your voting cards. All opposed? I now declare Mr. William Lord the winner. Mr. Lord, will you please step forward to take the oath of office?
I, William Lord, do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent on me as moderator pro tem of the Stratford School District, according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So, me God. And this has to happen at the next regular school district meeting as well, so the position is actually filled by law. So, everything's perfect. Good morning. I'm going to have to quickly go through the rules of order, but before we do, I ask you to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Mr. Gordon Graham is our legal representative, and Gordon, I apologize, I don't know your partner. Anthony York is also the legal partner.
Thank you. I'm going to quickly go over the rules of order for the meeting. We're following the rules of order as suggested by the New Hampshire Municipal Association. I will read the article placed on the floor for consideration once it has been moved and seconded. Anyone wishing to speak to the article should use the microphone and address the moderator. Please state your name clearly each time. I don't like to set time limits, but if you wander too much or if you try to wander to repeat, we will. Personal attacks at any time are inappropriate. Please try to focus on the subject in the article on the floor. Voting will be by these obnoxious voting cards rather than by screaming. If you do not have one, please visit the supervisor with the checklist and pick one up. A secret ballot may be requested for this article. I will accept a petition for a secret ballot during discussion on the article. That petition must be signed by at least 5 registered voters of the town, and all must be present. We will consider only one. Oh, there's a moot point on this because under RSA 273-A:3, paragraph number 2, parentheses, small d, we cannot accept amendments to this article, so it's non-amendable. If there are any procedural motions, such as calling the question or limiting debate, these do not need to be written down. However, you will still need to wait your turn at the microphone. So if people are actually waiting, I will not recognize a request, a call for the question from the audience that would prevent those people already waiting at the microphone from having their say. If you have a cell phone, first, I feel badly for you, as I do with me, but at any rate, if you don't require it for an emergency, not fire or police or medical emergencies, that type of thing, be courteous, please, and either turn it off or put it on silent mode. If you have one and it is on silent mode and it rings tonight is your meeting. Hopefully we'll have a fun session today. Remember that you as the voting body have the final say on all matters. With that, I'm going to put the motion on the floor. It's a single article special meeting. We are going to consider Article 1. Shall the Stratford School Board vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Stratford School Board and the Stratford Education Association, which calls for the following increases and decreases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels for fiscal year 2017, estimated salary change plus $59,399.36. Health insurance change minus $59,506.29. Net change minus $106.93. The school board recommends this appropriation by a 4-1 vote. There is no additional tax impact if this article passes. We have a second to place this on the floor. We do. It's been moved and seconded. I'm going to ask the chairman of the school board to explain what's going on.
So good morning. One thing I want to remind people about this is, while the amendment only adjusts 2 of the articles, it actually addresses the entire contract that the district has with the SCA. So I'd like to do something that's never been done in the 16 years I've been here, to actually show you people what the contract is. So it's up on the wall, and remember, the vote here is to actually accept this entire thing with the 2 changes. So it begins right off the bat as the agreement between the board. This was negotiated back in 2012. This is the one that has remained in effect until today, right now. The Stratford Education Association is the SEA. It is comprised of some teachers and some paraprofessionals, not all of them, but all of them are bound to the requirements of it. NEA is the National Education Association in Hampshire, which is the guiding union for the SEA. So it starts off with a whole bunch of normal stuff, index. Preamble, just some normal things that are in a contract. Just here, I'm trying not to read my back to you. And you can see things that it addresses. This is a public document. It's hung up on the school board website. I think it's on the SAU website. We provided copies before. So nothing here. The jurisdiction, you can see in section B, shows exactly who does fall into this. It's teachers, the guidance folks, library media, the nurse, and parent education aides. A whole bunch of definitions go on. This gets into contractual language later on. Management rights. I'm sorry. It's a beautiful Saturday. I'm trying to
wasting your time with me because
okay. So Article 2, management rights. That's just a little bit of guidance for the board subjects and what it agrees to. Article 3 is the procedures. We have to follow the RSA 273A, which is the guidance that actually Mr. Lord already referenced as opposed to in prior elections. And again, if anybody has any questions as we go, Mr. Lord, are they allowed to ask as we go? Bill? Are they allowed to ask questions as I do this?
Absolutely, Paul.
I know, we already have one. Article 4 is the association, so that is the SEA folks, what their privileges and responsibilities are, which is fine. That's the things that they put in there. And again, this document was written over many years, a lot of cutting and pasting. A lot of times when you sit at the negotiation table, they like to address things on certain paragraphs as opposed to looking at the entire document. So things get cut and pasted. You'll see later on it gets kind of messy because over the years nobody's ever really scrubbed it for proper wording. So it gives some guidance on what both parties are going to agree to. Article 5 is a standard grievance procedure that has to do with anything with employees. We did go through and make sure that this is still all current. One thing the board would like to do is, as with anything we've done in a whole bunch of our current policies, is leave things to match the current RSAs. So this whole section is actually put together as an RSA. It's standard procedure for any union documentation. The way it's written here, it's actually a little bit more restrictive and less restrictive in different states, and it's a little messy. The problem becomes if during the execution of this contract, a state law changes, this document now doesn't match the RSA. So when we go through a whole bunch of this, what we'd like to do is try to clean this up so that the items in the contract actually match the RSA, which makes it easier to maintain, enforce, keep track of what's going on. So this goes through all the agreement stuff. And again, Article 6, election or termination of contract. Again, this entire section is covered by the RSA. The dates and items in here don't match the laws, and we actually had to change some of our school board policies because our policy didn't match the contract, which also didn't match RSA's. Again, it's really good procedure to make sections of contracts match state laws so that it's much easier to keep track of. Article 7 is a reduction in personnel. Some issues we had here, you can see a little bit up here, but it states in the section A that it's 15 calendar days if the paraprofessionals given written notice, but the very next paragraph, it's 14 days. It's actually the same sentence. So, we're trying to get things cleaned up. The second paragraph, section B, it says any employee so affected. Well, the problem is that's not true. Only unionized teachers are covered by that. Paraprofessionals are hourly rate workers and they're not covered. So that language is incorrect.
Has there been any reduction in personnel?
There was one position not nominated this year. That was brought forward last spring. Section C, this sentence that says professional employees, so again we're talking about teachers whose positions that are limited shall be offered a contract the next position for which the professional employee is certified. So what that does is it takes out any management of the staff from the administration. It's kind of automatic. The position is closed, they automatically get put back in without the principal, assistant principal, or the superintendent determining what's in the best interest of the student. Understand?
Mike Harrington, Dr. Rose Bradley. I guess a couple of questions. First, I want to thank the school board and the teachers. This has been a long, hard negotiation that they got to spend hundreds of hours at. So hopefully they'll come to fruition today. I'm not sure what the right time to answer this, but I was wondering when you mentioned about the professionals, how is the changes in the definitions of who gets overtime and who doesn't going to put affect this contract? In fact, we have teachers that will be making under the new amount, which I think is close to $50,000, and they then going to be subject to be paid overtime for working, if they work more than 40 hours a week, whether it's at the job or at home, or it's just going to be told they don't work 40 hours a week, don't do it.
I'm not sure we could, Mr. Gray, have you seen any of that new overtime change to the state?
Well, it's a federal law, so the federal rules right now.
So is that going to affect, will that affect any member of the collective bargaining agreement if they exceed, well, it's over 40 hours, right? The work week, I believe, is only 32.
So I guess what the school board's position would be that if teachers choose to spend extra time working at home, preparing papers, whatever, that's on their own dollar. If you're a salaried employee, you make less than 59, and it's 49,000 under the new rules, you're no longer exempt under the Fair Standard Labor Practice Act, so you must be paid time and a half for over 40 hours a week. I'm just not right sure that we're not jumping into something here with the definition.
Well, we only put them on contract for the school rates to see that, which I believe is 32. And then anything they do over it, coaching, all the stipend additions, they're paid for that, so.
Correct.
That does not go into that normal work.
So it's not a problem.
But we'll keep an eye on it. So again, so there's just things there that some of this contract takes away from the management of the folks we pay to manage. Article 8. is just the observation evaluation section. There was actually a team last year that was put together among the administrators, members of staff, all that actually redid this whole section. So I'm not even sure that this section now complies with the new evaluation procedure that was put in place by the staff members. We just have to check that out.
Excuse me, Brian, I have a question on that.
Yep.
I assume that I'm correct in saying that there is no merit pay within the contract?
That is correct. So continuing down, it does a lot of talk about how observations and evaluations are done for each staff member. Again, I'm not even sure it complies with the new guidance that was written by the staff last year. Then about how we take care of employee files, any way we can do disciplinary action, assignments and transfers. Again, things like you can see the first line of section D, assignment and transfer, it kind of tells us in the contract, they'll be notified no later than June 30th of their subject to grade level assignment. Well, if something occurs in between there, and now administration possibly needs to move them, they may actually be breaking the CBA. So there was some wording there that we kind of wanted to fix, and the next paragraph after that, in the event, it starts with the event of a vacancy in a professional employee position. But yes, you're not reading the same line. This one here. If you read it, if any vacancy occurs, it should be filled first through voluntary transfer and only thereafter filled by involuntary transfer. So again, we pay the administration a lot of money to manage the staff at the school. And if they need somebody to move, they need to go to them and say, hey, you have this certification, you should be there. Not, hey, does anybody volunteer? Because that might not be the person they want to put there. So again, it's a mechanism that disrupts how the administration can actually manage their staff.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
On the,
Pam Felber with a new knee. On the thing about moving the staff member, I know on most contracts, and I'd like you to clarify this, it says that they can move you. So regardless of what the negotiation says, most contracts say that they can move you. Right. If your contract is within an elementary. So I don't know what the point is when you're saying that you've lost that ability to move people.
Because if you read that sentence in section 2, it should be filled first through voluntary transfer. Thereby, if you decide to volunteer for an open position,
but
the
what
administration
supersedes? What supersedes?
This is the binding contract we have with them.
But what about the one that we signed? And I don't work for Stratford. I don't work for Stratford. But in my contract with Oyster River, the one I signed, they can place me anywhere they want. And it has nothing to do with the union.
I'm telling you what the contract is with the union. This is written here, and if it does, then once again, that's one more thing that isn't matching what the contract is you signed.
So for clarification, the CPA.
Name, please.
Yeah.
Name and microphone. Microphone, please.
We have to, just because it's being reported by Ms. Hopkins.
Jim Russo, Stratford, New Hampshire. So just a clarification, the CPA actually supersedes the teacher's individual contracts.
I'm going to look at Mr. Gray.
The CBA is going to dictate what's in the teacher's contract.
And if there's disparity between them?
The CBA controls, unless the contract is specified in the CBA. And then if there's a conflict between the two, you'd have to sort that out.
The contract is not specified.
It's because none of this is part of the collective bargaining agreement that is up for consideration here. Because this is all additional information that's simply something that's between the school board and the association. None of this relates to cost items so far.
It doesn't relate to cost item, but by approving the warrant, you're approving this CBA.
They're
Because we're going to change the date on it for 1 year.
the school district meeting was clear.
Yeah. Or you can have like and I apologize, all of this is being recorded, so Ms. Hopkins can go back and replay it if it's correct. So that's why it's important to speak in the microphone.
The school district.
It's not on.
I just turned it off. Did I turn it off? Did I turn it off? Off?
Do I have the only working one?
No, that one works. Carol?
This meeting has authority over the cost items of the collective bargaining agreement. The terms of the collective bargaining agreement are something that are agreed to between the governing body, which is the school board, and the association. That's the one I'm making. That's the one. But there's no question that this agreement, that the only changes to the agreement are the changes that are outlined in your collective bargaining agreement warrant articles that are being submitted to voters for approval, because those are cost items.
Correct. I've heard people asking from the audience why we're going through this, but you've never seen it. We're going to change the date of that first page to read 16, 17 if this gets approved today. You should know what you're voting for, not just because somebody said, hey, there's two things on this, look at it at home. This is a very important document that you can see it makes it very challenging at times for school to manage its staff, for a board to negotiate with the union. It's the guiding rules we have to go by.
Jason Troutman for Yellen. Does it say that the principal has to take the volunteers, or does it just say it's volunteers?
We haven't got there, but it gives the guidance that they have first rights to it. So I don't know. We'd go to our legal team if we ever had to move somebody off of that. Luckily, we have not had to go through that.
Yes, I agree. And it does say in our contract that we signed that I can be moved at any point to somewhere that I'm certified.
Right. So again, we give you one document that's signed and touched with another document that's signed. So we need to clean this up.
But that document that I signed is with the proposal of the bids. So that's not us, that we didn't negotiate that.
I don't know. The one you signed. Right.
So that's not written about just that.
That
It's
is,
based on it, it's not written about the draft education.
I don't know.
I am very confused. I hear the lawyer saying we're voting just on the wording of the warrant. I hear you saying we're voting on the full agreement. And I hear you saying that this agreement is not up to date and it's not in line with the state mandate. So why would I vote for something that's not a finished agreement, doesn't line up with state law?
Again, I'm just providing the information. I'm not advocating either way. I'm trying to let the people be informed voters. Where for many years, and I've talked about this before, I had never seen a contract until I got on approval. We always had a number, and I agree. We're voting on two items when the warrant goes. It's going to be the two items, but it's changing this document. We're going to change the date on this document, and this document is going to still be the guiding contract. Sam? Okay.
I have a question, maybe you can clarify this just.
Name, please.
Mike Carrington. I like that. Name, please, Mike. There's no Cheech and Chong line, but I'm going for it right now. Maybe for clarification, I don't know, Brian or the legal staff in investment. If this is not approved today, the terms that we're going through will stay in effect regardless, that is correct? Say yes, so the lawyers, Carol and Nelson. You're nodding your head, I say yes.
That is correct. If it is approved, everything but the change remains the same.
Right, okay.
I just want you to know what you're voting for.
Exactly, I appreciate that. I think it's time that the people of the town do that. But I think that people should understand that this will stay in effect regardless of, other than those changes, regardless of what happens today. Now, one of the statements to the legal staff, they said that we only vote on the portions of this that have cost effect. And is it really possible to par out something that doesn't have cost effect? I mean, if you look at sick leave or days off or sick bank, I just put on this one particular page here, or bereavement. Anyway, stick the idea. Is there any more? Is it possible to separate any more of this contract from this is not cost related? Okay, I'll sit down. Next, if you dare. Next, if you dare.
board and the association have the authority at any point in time to make an agreement regarding items that do not impact cost payments.
But I mean, something like how much sick leave the teachers had.
Sick leave may impact the cost item. That may end up being, if there's a cost to it, it can be identified, and it needs to be approved by the school district. Right?
So that's on a case-by-case basis.
That's correct. That's correct. So when changes are made to a collective bargaining agreement that potentially impact costs, you have to evaluate in good faith whether or not those things will impact the cost to the voters and to the citizens of the community of how much the collective bargaining agreement will impact those costs. But items that do not impact costs, things clearly like grievance procedures, et cetera, those, as you point out, are going to remain in effect whether or not this agreement is approved or not, because the status quo doctrine remains in effect until the new agreement is approved. That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next.
Hi, Elizabeth Hill. I just wanted to clarify, back when Ms. Monahan was talking about reduction in force versus non-renewal. The administration does have the supervision of the teachers as their responsibility, and if there is a teacher who is not performing their tasks appropriately, then there are protocols set in place for that supervision to take place. The reduction in force is just lowering the budget line and the teacher position that has to be eliminated, and that language is not because of a problem with the teacher. It's just a budgetary elimination of a position. So I don't want you to be confused that the administration doesn't supervise the teachers and have protocols in place for correcting inappropriate performance. And the second point I want to make is that certainly, Mr. Monahan, there's a lot of places in this contract where we should clean it up. And that certainly would be something that should take place in our next series of negotiations. Today, I think it's just voting on the changes that have been made with this one-year contract, and I hope the community will support this contract. Thank you.
So again, I feel it's important as a school board member that you folks understand what's in this contract. And yes, we've been trying for 18 months to change some of this. So the rest, again, I'm trying not to speak it back to you. So the rest that goes into leaves, and a lot of this is put together pretty much standard language. I want to skip through all of it. To Article 10, the extended leave of absence. Again, this is all things that is, we've spoken about and been negotiated over the years. A lot of it falls in line with disability leave, child leave, all the normal things that are in a contract. It gets a whole section into sabbatical leaves as far as I know. I've been here for quite a while. I don't know if we've ever had a staff member take a sabbatical leave. Toward the bottom of page 9 right here, it says that they may be granted 50% of their salary. That all has to be approved, arranged. I honestly don't see it happening. We haven't had a request for it. It's kind of needless language from what I see. Working conditions. This is where some of the folks are asking. So this is where it defines, again, remember, this is your contract with the employees, defining what they would like to do. So here's where it shows 188 days. What includes inside of that, a school year is only 188 days. We've talked a lot about the paragraph 2 where it says they only have to show up approximately 30 minutes and leave approximately 30 minutes after school closes. So again, it's tough for administration to determine when people are here if they have this range to get here. Every contract job I've ever been on, say this is the time you get here, this is the time you get home. A lot of that has to do, people have always asked, well, why don't we have any Friday sports? We've never had a Friday sport. The ones that my kids played in 15 years. I'm not sure if it's coach league, paid league, or whatever, but again, I don't like the word approximately in a contract. This is supposed to be a binding agreement. We can't hold somebody to something. How do we enforce it?
Sam Felder, Stratford. I feel as though you're putting your personal issues as your presenter. You said you wanted to inform the voters
been reading it directly to you, ma'am.
Yes, but then you are saying, well, they don't stay on Friday afternoons. So if you're saying,
Is that a misstatement?
well, why are you adding that? It doesn't say it. It is a misstatement too. And the reality of 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, how do you know? How do you know? At Oyster River, we don't have any time that we have to be there.
So what you're telling me is something is in a contract,
Okay,
and we don't know. So why is it written down that way?
okay, but this is not something we're going to change today.
No, but it's something you're going to be aware of.
Okay, are you for this new?
Whether I'm for it or against it, I'm reading
But
factual
isn't that public
information.
information? Wasn't the vote 4-1?
It was 4-1 to bring this appropriation forward.
Okay, so are you?
I was one of the four that voted
That
for
was
this
4.
appropriation forward.
Okay, so the way that you're speaking is to vote it down.
I'm reading a contract.
I'm sorry, but you're not.
Okay, I will try to adjust that if I'm misinterpreting. I told you at the beginning.
And I also feel
I'm for it against it.
it's extremely unprofessional as the chairperson of the school board to be putting this information on Facebook.
What information?
Any information on Facebook.
Okay, we're kind of strayed away from the issue here, so I ask both the school board chairman and the audience to stick to the issue.
Okay. Ma'am, do you have a question? Brett, please.
Holly Mom, Point Trinity Drive. I just wanted to support what you just said, but in a very clear way maybe. Could you please just present the material as is written, without violence?
So, okay, I will try to do so. I'm trying to also point out the reasons why some of this is confusing as a school board person who has to work with the SCA on this and administration who has to work with the SCA on this. Because I'm not sure everybody's as good reading contracts as everybody else. So here's all the normal things. Again, it's just things that dictate the normal working schedule for the staff. I'm going to try to word things so that it doesn't show a bias. I'm just trying to repeat what we see when we handle these kind of contractual issues. All the way down to insurance and benefits. So this is, sorry. So this is one of the sections that is part of the warrant today. So what you see on the screen is exactly what the contract reads today. What you have at the end of the flyer, and with the warrant, is how it changes. And I will leave it at that. Article 8 goes into compensation again, and this again is part of the warrant because it affects, it should be the second item of the warrant.
Donald Coker, before the record, Mr. Monahan, I appreciate your opinions and your elaboration on the contract. I came here today thinking we were voting on two things. That's it. And part of that vote includes this contract. If I had known that, I would have studied this contract in greater detail before I came to this meeting. Frankly, I appreciate it.
As a point of order, I believe that the legal person stated that we are voting strictly on the cost items. We are not voting on this entire agreement.
I agree with
So what you just said is incorrect. We're voting only on the cost items. That has already been stated by the legal person.
However, with all due respect, sir, part of that vote includes this contract. Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
Because it doesn't matter whether or not you approve or disapprove this article, the contract is in effect.
Right. This contract is in effect.
Yes. Whether it's voted or not.
And it will be the status quo of this district until a new contract is agreed upon.
Yes, that is a true statement. This has been in effect since the first page, and it will remain in effect except for the two sections that we just hit. Again, my whole purpose of this was to not tell people yes or no, because you can't vote on this contract. But most of you have never seen it.
Okay, well, I had never seen it, and I stand corrected, thank you.
Okay. So again, part of the compensation, so the very first section, wages and salaries, is the second half of the warrant. Again, this is just to show you where it falls in line with this document, and yes, we're getting to the end. Goes through all the methods of payment, how they do it, withholding. Again, a lot of this is standard contract language with any position staff. And yes, we do match these against other schools, and we run it through the NHSBA, and they look at all this to make sure it's kind of standard. And a lot of that has to do with things that have been negotiated over the years between the SEA, between the school boards, but it had been agreed to by the voters, but again, most of you have never seen it. Yeah.
Rebecca Local. Since this contract is already in effect and we have a copy of it, can I make a motion that we just vote?
You may call the question if you so desire. However, I have had a request for a secret ballot handed to me, and I just, if you're going to be calling the question, I want to make sure this is in play before you actually do that, because it was handed to me during the discussion. So we'll go through this quickly with the undersigned. And here present, registered voters of the town of Stratford request a secret ballot on Article 1. The warrant presented at the special school district meeting on June 25, 2016. Brian Monahan, President. Carol Collins, President. Carrie McMahon, President. Carol Cooper, President. Marilyn Roderick, President. I'm required to ascertain that all five are actually present in the room, the principal voters of the town. So if you want to call a question now, you may do that. But since none of you are in line behind her, she has the right to call a question if she so chooses. Yes?
I just was wondering, I know that people would like to call the question, Rebecca would, but if we could at least explain the changes, what we're voting on, because I don't think we actually got to the changes that we're voting on in the warrant article.
I would think that would be a prudent course to allow that.
After going over the changes to the insurance and the pay salary, I would like to call the question.
As soon as those through those, I will recognize you. Want to address those items? Yeah.
The magic mic.
We're going to do the cost items real quickly. However, I am going to, while he's looking for those, Michael?
A couple of quick questions. One, the school board votes 4-1 in favor of the change. Who voted no, and did they say why? Okay, well, now we know who. Use the magic mic.
It was done in public meetings.
Okay, I wasn't there, so I wasn't there.
I voted no against this because of one reason, and that was the 19th that was added.
Okay.
I'm not.
And you might want to look at page 14 where it talks about sick leave reimbursement. It says after 7 of service. So something's missing there. 7 years, 7 months, 7 days, 7 something. But right now it just has 7. So, going back to what we're talking about on the cost side, I wanted to ask about the insurance costs. And it's kind of hard to see from here without actually knowing the contract, or maybe someone can answer the question. What's the deductible that these people, that the teachers, or the people covered by the contract will be paying? It says the board will pay, or the taxpayers will pay 95% of an individual, 88% of two person, and 80% of the family. Subject to what deductible? This is kind of a sensitive thing to me because mine's going from 2,000 to 7,000 next year.
Does that have to do with the deductible, the numbers listed there? Or does it depend on the plan that the people choose?
It depends on the plan. If you look in the explanation of the warrant, you've got a plan 85, and then the prescription costs are after that. the 315.1, those are the prescription costs, and it would be a $5 copay. And then the deductible for that would be individual for each plan. I don't have that with me right now.
Well, do you have an estimate? I mean, we talking $100 that like people have to pay before the insurance kicks in, 1,000, or in my case, 3,000, or I mean, you want to be 7,000.
I'm trying to remember, we've got many different negotiated agreements through the SAU, so I'm trying to remember which one.
Well, I think give me a ballpark. Is it thousands or hundreds?
I believe it's hundreds.
Okay, so it's substantially better than most people getting in private sector.
I don't know that.
Okay. And the other thing, I want to make is a comment in here. There's a number of things in here on retirement, and the teachers of the contract people are covered by the state retirement system, which in the state of New Hampshire is a very generous fixed benefit system, which very few people have anymore. In fact, the federal government's gone away from fixed benefit plans. And I don't understand why, and I know this is nothing we're going to resolve today, but as we go towards the next contract, this is only a year, I would clearly like to see the school board look at why we have to give the teachers any retirement benefits in excess of the very generous state of New Hampshire's retirement plan, which covers, I assume, the police and the one full-time fire employee. Why do the teachers have to get a bonus on top of that? So I would think that kind of what Brian's bringing up here is that this contract is constructed, obviously, some areas in here we get conflicts between personal contracts that the teachers sign and what's in here that can cause all sorts of litigation and so forth. And this thing really needs to be cleaned up. But I think it would be cleaned up with the idea of bringing it into the fact that this is the year of Obamacare, and the NEA is one of the biggest proponents of Obamacare, and they seem to want to get much better treatment than everybody else gets under Obamacare. They don't, reap what they sow.
Let's just address the issue at hand. Next.
Good morning, Jim Russo, taxpayer of Stratford. I actually have a bunch of things I was going to say, but we're going to go through and stick with just the two cost items here, specifically the salary change and the health insurance. And part of the salary change has to do with the additional step that was added. And I got to agree with you, Mr. Penny. I can't believe that we're going through. We've added it on to the 19th step. The labor union agreed to 18-step pay cap decades ago. Now that the preponderance of SEA members have reached the 18-step cap, and after these same union members have taken advantage of step increases as high as 6.9% in a given year, and over 16.5% in just the last CBA cycle. This proposal raises the agreed-to cap. In short, the taxpayers of Stratford are being asked to change the rules now that it doesn't suit the labor union and their members. According to a report from the SAU, one of our teachers is certified with a master's degree plus 30 credits in the step 18. Under this proposal, this teacher will receive a 1.4% increase. There is another teacher, very high respected teacher, also a master's degree plus 30 certification, and is also a step 18, and is going to receive a 2.12% increase, twice that of the first teacher. I do have a point with this Mr. Moderator, and I will get to it very quickly. There is a third teacher, certified, master's plus 16 credits, half that of the second teacher. I'm trying not to use names. I'm trying to go through, keep this to a point. Half that of the second teacher, and has been here for less time than that second teacher. They are scheduled to receive a 4.24% increase. By the way, that is 4 times that of what our first responders got, twice that what our administrators got, and 4 times that of the first teacher. Probably the starkest, most questionable ones. The president of the SEA is scheduled to get a 6% increase. 6 times that of the first teacher. 3 times that of the second teacher. Here's my point. There's a lot of rhetoric with regards to going through and teaching, treating teachers fairly. But the SEA isn't even teaching their members fairly. We have teachers out there are getting 1% versus 6%. There is no fairness there. And if we go through and we choose to say yes to this salary change, this monetary change, we're going through and we're saying, SEA, go ahead and teach our teachers unfairly. Knock yourselves out. And I don't think that's what we're about.
Any other points?
One more. According to the labor union's Facebook post on December 5th, 2015, there are some 50 changes to the CBA, some of which Mr. Monahan went through. Yet the school board has come to the town with only 2 proposed changes. I would like for somebody to explain to us, after 18 months of effort, why there are only 2 changes brought to us out of 50. Thank you, Mr. Monahan.
The short answer is, that's what we can get an agreement on.
Next.
Hi, my name is Lex Buzzell, and I live on the Second Crown Point Road in Stratford. I'm a teacher in Rochester, and part of the union there, and we've just been through the same process. And what I will tell you is that as I look at the pay in Stratford, and I look at the 19th step, we're still making more in Rochester by about $7,000 per teacher across the board. I can tell you Barrington makes more. I can tell you Dover makes more. Oyster River makes more. I can tell you that well, I'm not sure about Nottingham. But my point is that there is a pool of teacher employees within the area. And very often it saddens me when Rochester is used as a training ground and people then move to Oyster River or Wyndham or Greenland or Exeter, and we lose these fine teachers. And so even with your 19th step, you're still really not on par with other districts in the area. And if there are 2 things that we need to vote on today, I think that we should probably just vote on them. Any contract language and anything that we don't like, we can try to fix for next year. This is a 1-year contract. It seems like the board's agreed to it, the teachers have agreed to it, and we should just probably vote. Thank you.
Next.
I just wanted to talk to the community about this contract and the step increases that Mr. Rizzo addressed. We are not getting a cost of living increase with this contract, which I know that the town has appropriated to other people. But as teaching professionals, teachers and parents, they attend training, they go to courses, they do pay quite a bit out of pocket for the coursework that they do. And part of the professional development of our teaching staff is encouraged by the school board and by the community. And when teachers do get higher degrees, they should move up in steps, and their experience should be appreciated, and they should move up in steps. I'm not going to debate. I do think that the steps should be looked at again and cleaned up. Again, that's something for another negotiating session. But if we want to keep our really talented teachers, we have to allow them to grow professionally and to be rewarded for that growth. And that's what the step system in this contract is all about. And I hope the community will support it. Thank you.
I've been asked, Mrs. Popovich would like to speak, so she's going to speak for you, if you don't mind. She's going to go down there, obviously, the rest down there. I'm tight for you. My skills are not letting me in the seat. Not very good.
Mr. Moderator, I have a question.
Name, please.
My name is Carol Popovich. And if I feel that the entire contract needs to be cleaned up, would I be voting no against warrant article number 1?
I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other, quite frankly. The language is going to stay the same, whether it's voted up or down. It's up to the board and the teachers' union in their negotiations to clean up the contract. That is between those two entities, and quite frankly, this body has very little say or play in how that handles. You can obviously make your wishes known to the individual school board members, and you should. However, it's kind of a moot point, I think. Is that correct, Mr. Legal Person?
Mr. Legal Person is essentially correct.
The reason I asked is because I heard
On information.
that there are a lot of issues within the contract as it was presented. So that was the reason for my question.
Yeah, I think that's a unanimous feeling on all sides, from what I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Steve Balter, Beaver Dam. I'm a retired government employee. I've worked under the merit step system. For the last 11 years that I worked, I was at the top of my step. I could not go any higher because my employer did not have any billets in that area. So essentially the only thing that I had was a cost of living increase each year if Congress needed to give us one. And for the last 3 years that I worked, there was no cost of living increase. I just want to say that I think the addition of an additional step is outrageous. It should never have been negotiated into this contract, and I hope that the people of this town will vote the contract down.
Next.
That work?
Hope you break it.
Just a claim. Kurt Wilbers, Parker Mountain Road. So I'd like to echo what Mr. Bolger just said. I spent 34 years working in the step system. At times I was at the top step of what I could make. That has not been changed in decades in the federal government, and that's why they have a step system. Right? I don't see any reason why we should be adding steps to the step system that's been in place and has served us well as long as it has. I'd like to congratulate the school board on bringing forth a proposal that is revenue neutral, so-called. On the other hand, the addition of the additional staff and the precedent that we set by, well, we saved so many years, so we're going to give that over an additional salary, is not a good precedent for us to set. As you just heard, I'm retired. I've been retired for 5 years. In that 5 years, my total retirement pay has increased by a total for 5 years of 2%. That's because, well, we haven't got any cost of living increases or any other kind, and we're not going to. Now, at some point, I cannot afford to pay 1%, 2%, whatever it is, more every year to my employees, because my income doesn't go up, it goes down. And it's like that, it's perhaps even worse for many in the private sector, who are actually working and seeing their median income go down. And I sympathize, is a word to use, with people who are working in the public sector and not getting raises, but that's a lot better than their compensation, their pay, their actual salary not going down. And that's especially true because their compensation goes up in any event. Most of the people who work get step increases. They get increased benefits in terms of health care that others, as you've already heard, have to pay for. So I'm going to vote against this just because we have to start saying the increases in our budget, and especially our budget for personnel, are going to be nil.
Next.
Roz Mason from Stratford. I'd like to call a question.
We have one person behind you, and we're going to let you speak as using a lot. Next.
Paul Mesley, Wakefield. So, in, say, typical industry, additional pay, additional benefits are based on performance. So, just a quick summary, whether you like the website or not, it still shows the trend. 2011, elementary school was ranked number 1. 2012, it was 4. 2013, it was 10. 2014, it was 44. And now we're 84. So everybody should take a look, administration, teachers, and figure out why that trend is continuing in the wrong direction.
The question has been called. We have a second. Ms. Bussell, seconded. All those are in favor of calling the question, signify by raising your voting card. All right, we're going to proceed to a vote. I have to tell you what you're going to be voting on.
You ask for who are opposed?
All those opposed, I'm sorry. The motion carries. Sorry about that. I made an error. I apologize for that. Okay, I'm going to read the question. It will be by secret ballot, which means you'll need to go over to the supervisor with a checklist and get a piece of paper. You'll take it over there to vote. It'll be deposited in the box. Gary's in charge, and he'll get some people to help get the votes counted. I don't think it will take long.
It's going to be very quick.
All right. And I need to roll this up again. Okay, voting on Article 1. Shall the Stratford School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Stratford School Board and the Stratford Education Association, which causes the following increases and decreases in salaries and benefits at current staffing levels. Fiscal year 2017, estimated salary change plus $59,399.36. Health insurance change minus $59,506.29. The net change minus $106.93. The school board recommends this appropriation by a 4-to-1 vote. There is no additional tax impact if this article passes. You may proceed over to pick up your voting slips. Bring your card, yes. Yeas, 38, nays, 34, the motion carries. I guess I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Just before we do, thank you very much, everybody, for coming on this beautiful Saturday. I would like to thank the supervisor, checklist, the whole team here. This was a long time coming. Thank you very much. We'll get back to work in October. For all the staff members here, we talked about it